Argentina, the second largest country in South America, is bordered by Uruguay, Brazil and the Atlantic Ocean to the east. Paraguay and Bolivia run along the north of the country with the Andes Mountains and Chile to the west. The country takes its name from the Latin word for silver, argentum, after European colonizers discovered an abundance of the mineral upon their arrival to the region in the early 1500s. There is evidence of human settlement in the area since 11,000 BC, but the region was relatively sparsely populated compared to the rest of the continent. The settlement of Buenos Aires was first established in 1536, however, attacks from native groups forced the settlers to flee by 1542. Conquistador, Juan de Garay, arrived in the area in 1580 and re-established the settlement, this time permanently. The region became a part of the Viceroyalty of Peru, later renamed the Viceroyalty of the Rio de la Plata until world events made the notion of independence from colonial rule a tangible possibility. The British became the superior maritime power and took control of the Falkland Islands. Napoleon invaded and conquered Spain in 1809. Argentina defended its mainland against two attacks from the British without the help of Spain and declared itself an independent province in 1816. By 1880, following various civil wars and border realignments, the country came under the rule of General Julio Argentino Roca. Thanks to European immigration in the late 19th century, football became the most important sport in Argentina. North American soldiers introduced the sport of basketball in 1910, playing with locals and church groups in Bahía Blanca. This region would become the self-proclaimed basketball capital of the country. The first documented game of basketball in Argentina was in Buenos Aires in 1912 after Canadian professor, Paul Phillip, helped to spread the game through the Young Men's Christian Association.
Compañeros de mi vida, barra querida, y a todo tiempo, me toca a mí hoy emprender la retirada, debo alejarme de tu buena tirada. Adiós muchachos, ya me voy y me resigno contra el...
The Confederación Argentina de Basketball was established to govern Argentina's national team. They were one of the founding members of FIBA, the governing body of all international basketball, when it was established in 1932. The South American Championship Tournament was introduced in 1930 and the third installment of the competition was held in Buenos Aires. The home court advantage helped propel Argentina to the gold medal, their first tournament win in international play. The victory wasn't without controversy, however, as Uruguay, winners of the first two tournaments, left the court during their game against Argentina after disagreeing with how the game was being officiated. They abruptly left Buenos Aires, forfeiting this fixture and their remaining three games.
Adiós muchachos, ya me voy y me resigno contra el destino, nadie la talla, se terminaron para mí todas las barras, mi cuerpo enfermo no resiste más.
The first 20 years of this tournament saw Argentina claim the bronze 3 times, the silver 3 times and the gold 5 times.
Acuden a mi mente recuerdos de otros tiempos, de los buenos momentos que antaño disfruté, cerquita de mi madre santa viejita, y de mi noviecita que tanto idolatré. Se acuerdan que era hermosa, más linda que una diosa, y que brioso de amor le di mi corazón. Mas el señor celoso de sus encantos, hundiéndome en el llanto, me la llevó.
Revolution flares in the Argentine. Moving into Buenos Aires at dawn, army units take over government buildings in a dramatic move against the nation's president, Castillo. Castillo, unpopular with many because of his pro-Axis sentiments, is forced to resign. In the general confusion and rioting, 40 people were killed.
Dios del juez supremo, no hay quien se le resista. Ya estoy acostumbrado su ley a respetar, pues mi vida deshizo con sus mandatos.
Argentina didn't send a basketball team to compete in the Olympics until 1948 when they were held in London. They won 3 group stage games but failed to advance to the next round after losses to Czechoslovakia and the USA. 2 years later, in 1950, FIBA set up the first Basketball World Cup and it was held in Buenos Aires.
Noticiero Melco y la gran revista Mundo Deportivo en la concentración del equipo de basquetbolistas argentinos.
When we were in training camp, our coach asked all the players to vote on who they thought the captain of the team should be. I got 95% of the vote from my teammates. We trained morning, noon and night. We worked individually on free throws, on shots from the side of the court, on jump shots, 100 or 200 shots every single day.
Oscar Furlong was the team's center and Ricardo Gonzalez remembers his time playing alongside him fondly.
He was the Maradona of the time. I understood the game like nobody else and I wasn't selfish. It made me make a lot of counter-attack points.
Llevándome a mi madre y a mi novia también, 2 lágrimas sinceras derramo en mi partida por la barra querida que nunca me olvidó, y al darle a mis amigos el adiós postrero les doy con toda mi alma mi bendición.
Basketball with extraordinary trajectories. The most decisive for the World Championship is expected between the representative teams of Argentina, who have reached the final match of the tournament undefeated, and the United States, in a climate of intense nervousness. The first moves take place. Argentina, which is off to a good start, with showing greater speed and allowing primacy on the scoreboard. First half ends with an advantage for Argentina, 34-24 for Americans.
Despite their underdog status, the host nation came out on top and were crowned the first winners of the FIBA World Cup.
The second stage offers similar features. Argentina has triumphed by 51. Consequently qualifying the world champion.
When the game ended, the fans invaded the court. All around us was a tidal party. The emotions are still with me. I think very few expected us to win, including Perón. But the night the cold man later we met up. I promised to support basketball.
Adiós muchachos, compañeros de mi vida, barra querida de aquellos tiempos.
Then, there was a military coup and nobody went to the Olympics in Melbourne.
The military regime that overthrew Perón in 1955 went to great lengths to discredit many of the great Argentinian basketball players of this generation. Many were banned from competing for the national team again.
It was terrible, really painful. Sadly, there aren't many of us left from back then. Only a few are still around, but there is still that feeling about the tournament and everything we went through.
Argentina's men's basketball team wouldn't compete in another Olympic Games until 1996.
Voy a emprender la retirada, debo alejarme de mi buena muchachada. Adiós muchachos, ya me voy y me resigno, contra el destino nadie es la talla. se terminaron para mí toda la farra, mi cuerpo enfermo no resiste más.
Me imagino lo que debe ser el barco al llegar al trópico.
Despite the country's political turmoil and the decline of the national team, interest in basketball slowly grew and it became the second most popular sport in Argentina. After it was first introduced, it spread through the country quickly. Local leagues sprung up, first in Buenos Aires, and later in other regions, and tournaments were established between teams representing different provinces. The Campeonato Argentina was established by the CABB in 1936 and was the first national competition between basketball clubs from around the country.
Por una cabeza.
Por una cabeza de un noble potrillo que justo en la raya afloja al llegar y que al regresar parece decir no olvides hermano, no sabes muy.
In the 1960s, Alberto Pedro Cabrera began his professional career playing for Bahiense team, Estudiantes, where he played his entire 23-year career. His brilliance was immediately recognizable after he helped his team win the Torneo Bahiense in back-to-back years in '62 and '63. Other great players of this generation included Atilio Fruit and José de Lizaso. They played for rival club, Olimpo. However, they would compete alongside Cabrera for the Bahiense provincial team. Collectively, the trio became known as the Three Musketeers of basketball. In 1971, they welcomed the world champion Yugoslavian national team to Bahía Blanca.
La selección de Bahía Blanca, José Ignacio de Lizaso, le pide al señor Juan Sastre que le indique el tiempo faltante. Importante, todo esto sirve para tranquilizar, para parar el partido.
It was a very emotional game from the beginning. We had a lot of expectations, along with the fans in the arena that were excited about the fact that the undefeated world champions were playing in Bahía Blanca.
Te besa, borra la tristeza, calma la amargura, por una cabeza, y eso me olvida.
They could never get into the game and we had a 4-point lead in the last 2 minutes. The crowd was in awe that there was a possibility that we could make this happen. And we did. In the end, we scored 2 straight baskets and got the win. People could not leave the stadium, they stood there jumping and applauding, wanting to celebrate with us.
Su boca de fuego te la quiero besar. Basta de carreras, se acabó la timba. Un final reñido yo no vuelvo a ver. Pero si algún bingo llega a ser pica el domingo, yo me juego entero, ¿qué le voy a hacer?
Como ciego.
Por una cabeza y ella me olvida. ¿Qué importa perderme 1000 veces la vida? ¿Para qué vivir?
On the Argentine positions, the artillery was falling like rain, drenching the mountains in debris and smoke.
What sort of opposition was there?
Running opposition.
Running.
They ran away.
So you just came straight in, right? And told to stop.
That's right.
How did
We
you-
went into the town, put up the 2 parrot flags, the Union Jack, and then was dragged back out by the Marines.
Not feeling too good about that. What do you expect?
In 1984, the Campeonato Argentina de Clubes was replaced with a new national competition for basketball clubs, the Liga Nacional de Basquetbol. That same year, Alberto Pedro Cabrera retired from the game of basketball. He was widely regarded as the greatest player the country had ever produced. The golden age of Argentinian basketball, however, was about to be ushered in by two players who would define the next generation.